Buy on MTG. Construct your deck. Command your board. Conquer the table.
Hello and good morning out there in the wide world of web. This is Rob with Buy on MTG. I'm sure some of you noticed last night, and some of you are the ones who sent me this information. There was a leaked card information regarding the Marvel, I'm just going to use my desktop here, the Marvel comic universes beyond Magic the Gathering expansion. This sale popped up on Facebook Marketplace using a lot of the different methods like the naming conventions, the card format, the artists that are involved, even the numbering. It seems pretty legit in my opinion, not to mention the seller who posted this posted a myriad of other things, which proves its validity, but at the same time, it shows that it seems somewhat foolish in my opinion, but I'll get into that in a moment. From most of the speculations on Reddit and discussion and forums and whatnot, it seems like these are going to be promos for the New York City Comic Con. Overall, I'll do a quick rundown of each of the cards. That being said, whoever posted this and leaked and attempted to sell these cards, it doesn't seem very well thought out in regards to just Wizards of the Coast and their attorney team. A lot of people were talking about, well, Disney's going to blow them up, blah, blah, blah. I also think, and if I was Wizards of the Coast and I was making this deal, I'm not 100% sure it would have been solely with Disney. It would have also involved Marvel Comics, being that you could involve comic book characters in your set that might not have even presented themselves in the Avengers movies or any of the Disney IP. Not 100% sure on how all the contracting stuff went down. Not going to pretend that I've read all of their legal contracts, so I'm just going to move forward to go within the cards themselves. So the first one that I'm looking at is Black Panther. Grammar. The first one, Black Panther, Wakanda King. It's a green and a white, human noble hero. It's got first strike, has Survey the Realm. Whenever Black Panther or another creature you control enters, put a +1 counter on target land you control. Has Mind Vibranium. So for 3 generic, move all +1 counters from target land you control onto target creature. If you move one or more +1 counters, if one or more +1 counters are moved this way, you gain that much life and draw a card. So looking at this deck and how you would potentially, or how I would potentially go about building it, it's obviously going to be Selesnya. It's going to have a lot of landfall synergies within it. I would say, being that you target land creatures, I think a lot of the Nissas, the Nissa Planeswalkers, would be very strong in this because you make a lot of your lands into creatures. There's a myriad of different things that correlate with +1 counters and landfall. So anything that increases the amount of counters that you get. So perhaps doubling season would be very strong in here because it would not only make the amount of +1 counters you get greater, but it would also increase how fast your Nissa Planeswalkers got big and could, ultimate. Sorry about that. Also, you could look at just counter synergies in general because you have to plan. You plan on trying to make them big, but you also have to plan on when your opponents kill them. So the Ozolith would be a huge include in here. Not to mention you're in green and the Ozolith got a reprint. The Ozolith, the Shattered Spire, also green. So that's going to be powerful in here. You've got white. Could also run something like Terra Eternal, making all of your lands making all lands indestructible, but namely yours. So that way you could comfortably swing in with all of these lands. as a landfall deck, there's a lot of enchantments that a lot of people assume you're going to run, like a burgeoning would be powerful in there. Sword of the Animus would be powerful in there because you're already swinging and you're already focused on landfall. So why not make every time you swing trigger a landfall, which triggers more +1 counters, especially because the Sword of the Animus is an attack trigger and it is not a combat damage trigger. So when you swung, sword would trigger, triggering your Black Panther commander, putting a +1 counter, potentially doubled by doubling season or increased by hardened scales. There's just a myriad of things that you could do with this. And anytime they got the words draw a card on a commander, I'm all about it. But let's go ahead and throw Seer Sundial in there so that way you can draw more cards. Horn of Greed, draw more cards. If you're running these lands that are already creatures, like Stirring Wildwood, for example, come into play tapped. So you're going to be running a lot of the utility lands. So Amulet of Vigor might be something that you run in here. There's just a ton of things that you could do with this. And in all honesty, if you went to EDH Rec and you pulled up land themed decks and just go ahead and drill down to Selesnya specifically, it's going to point you in the right direction. Next one we're going to talk about is Iron Man Titan of Innovation. Now I am going to say I still am a huge artifact nerd when it comes to deck building, deck design. Sorry, I'm looking over a lot because I've got like 5 different things going and I'm trying to, instead of squishing it all into a video and working on a script, trying to get this out quick because these just got spoiled. So Iron Man, Titan of Innovation, he's 3 blue and a red for a human hero. He has flying and haste, which of course he does. Genius Industrialist, whenever Iron Man attacks, create a treasure token. Then you may sacrifice a non-creature artifact. If you do, search your library for an artifact card with mana values equal to 1 plus the sacrificed artifact's mana value. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. He's a 4/4. So first thing that popped into my head, Oswald Fiddlebender. He's essentially Birthing Pod. When you first bring him into play, he has haste, so you can go ahead and swing. You make your treasure token, then you sack it. You could go get your Soul Ring, your Sensei's Divining Top. You could go get any exceptionally powerful 1-drop that you need. If you're leaning into Mirror tokens or Thopters, go get your Skull Clamp. Start squishing their heads and start drawing more cards. Drawing cards is the best thing you can do in this game. I will say being able to tutor 4 things always makes decks that are very niche or hard to put together, lines that necessitate 2, 3, or 4 cards, it makes it so much easier. So I think if I were to build a strong but still casual, I would lean into like KCI lines because you're already sacrificing stuff. So you're already leaning into dying triggers. So you could use stuff like Ichor Wellspring. So that way you get a benefit when it comes in because you sacrifice that 1-drop. So then you go get your Ichor Wellspring. Then next time you sacrifice the Ichor Wellspring to go get what I would feel would be like KCI line kind of things. Junk Diver or Scrap Trawler. KCI in general has a huge amount of lines that generate infinite mana, and you're already leaning artifact centric. So if I were to want to build this deck, I think just going on to EDH Rec, searching artifact themed, looking at stuff at Saheeli the Gifted would be a great commander to use as your shell or template if you're wanting to build something around Iron Man. It's a great card, and it's certainly a lot of fun. Next up, we're going to be looking at Wolverine, Best There Is. So he's Gruul, so he's 1 green red for a human berserker hero. He has unrivaled lethality, double all damage Wolverine would deal, which is a really weird way of wording most of those enchantments that double or triple damage, but it essentially does the same thing. He has, at the beginning of each end step, if Wolverine dealt damage to another creature this turn, put a +1 counter on him. 1 and a green, regenerate Wolverine. I do find it kind of weird because Wolverine's regeneration is supposed to be one of the best in the multiverse. And there's a myriad of magic creatures that regenerate for 1 mana. I don't know why he's 2, but he should regenerate easier, just in my opinion, as a flavor perspective. Him starting out as a 2/2, I think they just wanted to keep him low to the ground, but he can grow very big. I believe one of the easiest ways to get him to grow big is leaning into fight and or punch spell decks. So, what is it? Nethel of the Dire Hunt is a great template of what a fight deck would look like. There's a ton of spells that you would run. Let's see, we're looking at Prize Fight, you're looking at Tail Swipe, Primal Might is another way that you could get him big. I believe that the huge enchantments that triple your damage, I think a lot of those to me just feel like a trap. The only time I've actually used any of them are in the Bellow Bard of the Brambles deck, and that's only because there are creatures in that deck. So there's additional synergies. I don't believe there's additional synergies with Wolverine, so I wouldn't lean him that way. But just a straight Gruul fight deck, you already can run a ton of ramp. You've got a ton of haste enablers. There's already a myriad of creatures that do what he does. So I think it's just either gets plugged into that or he becomes the helm of really a pre-existing deck. The last one that was spoiled would be Captain America, First Avenger. He is Jeskai, so red, white, and blue because he's all American. Human soldier hero. He has what I feel is probably one of the coolest flavor-wise amongst the 4 that are spoiled. He has Throw, which is 3 generic, unattaching equipment from Captain America. He deals damage equal to that equipment's mana value, divided as you choose amongst 1, 2, or 3 targets. Being that he deals the damage, I think it's pretty neat because if you do give him lifelink, if you do give him life gain abilities, if you do give him death touch, he will still make it happen. So if you stick any of the death touch enabler equipments on him and he throws any other equipment and you pop 3 things, pink, 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 even if it's only for 1, he's still going to kill it. The catch is another really cool flavor because when he goes into combat, he slings that shield, it bounces off of somebody's noggin, comes back, he catches it, and he goes in for battle. But at the beginning of combat on your turn, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to Captain America. He's a 4/4, so he's a pretty big boy. There's a ton of really cool equipment. Let's just call out the elephant in the room. Excalibur, giant equipment, equipped to him for free. You could mollywomp the heck out of stuff. There's a ton of ways to reduce the cost of equipment. You could have Pure Steel Paladin. You could have Forge Anew. You could have Sigarda's Aid. There's a ton of things that you could do that make him the equip or the equipment easier and more flexible. There's the cat that you can equip at instant speed, which if you have that in conjunction with anything that make your equip 0 and swords, you really have instant speed counterspells to all removal because you got that pro white if they're trying to swords it, or heaven forbid you got a couple pairs of boots out there and you can just move them around in response. You can definitely make sure that your stuff never gets killed. You have Fighter Class, which is a great new enchantment that lets you tutor for more stuff. And just there's a myriad of different, and this deck already exists. I just think flavor wise, he's a ton of fun. He gives you direct damage with your equipment. So he turns any piece of equipment into removal, and then you move to combat and it clips right back on him. Just great in general, and I think it would be a lot of fun. Overall, it's just unfortunate that it got spoiled this way. I do think they're great cards, and I'm looking forward to putting them into my collection. I believe the only issue I have is when I do collect these, do I put them with my Marvel comic cards that I've been collecting since 1990? Or do I put them with my Magic the Gathering cards that I've been collecting since 1993? Well, if anything, Marvel had dibs. So I'm going to call them Marvel comic cards. Anyways, I'm Rob. This has been Buy on MTG with a little bit of spoiler leaks. And I hope you all have a great day. Good luck and have fun.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below.